Hello everyone, sorry, with some technical difficulties. Welcome to the World Monocostal Sim Racing Championship. We are back for 2025, but Yanis Volbon isn't, which means there is an empty seat at the top, and we have 12 teams this year vying out for the top spot. In the background, cars making their way out to begin qualifying for round one, Melbourne, Australia. Once again, I'm joined by Robin Ciuman. Robin, good afternoon. How are you doing?
I'm doing fine, thank you. Very much looking forward to this race. And yeah, very much looking forward to how this season pans out.
Oh, absolutely, and we will try and cover throughout the course of the afternoon all of the big movers in terms of driver market, the new teams that are on the grid. Two new teams this year, but technically a total of 4 new teams, with some leaving and being replaced, and a couple of minor rule tweaks as well. But we have 50 minutes to go in the session. Everyone is flying round the final corner and charging across the line on their first flying laps. We're currently following Denny Vella, who is in one of those new teams, Lucky Hamish Racing, who took over Costech's spots from last season. And it's an interesting one. As you can see from the car itself, they've gone for a very bare bones look. We're not sure really what the situation is. They've only got one confirmed driver, and that's Denny. And there was talks about them not having a set yesterday. So are we about to see a 1997 Lola MasterCard situation, or are we more likely about to see a Brawn Masterclass from 2009? Bit of an unknown quantity as we join Pascal Polans on his flying lap. Looks like he's going to be the first to get round. And last year, indeed in both the previous seasons, he was the teammate of Holland Racing Team world champion Yanis Volbon. He moved away from Holland Racing Team to try and take on his world champion from another team, and typically Volbon then retires. But Vanguard Engineering are hotly tipped to potentially do some good things. They're among the favourites, it seems, at this early stage.
Apologies if there is any problem with the sound. Apparently the game sound is currently too loud and we're too silent. Let me know if this is fixed in the chat. We're trying to take care of this.
And immediately we have one of our first substitutes of the season, Gonzalez Kivo, driving for Holland Racing Team. He's not the full-time replacement for Yanis Volbon. That would go to Alexander Knežević, but Knežević not here this afternoon. We're not sure why, but Misha Smith is indeed there in the number 2 car, currently in 12th.
Yeah, and we also have the famous number 0 on the grid, which we had also in Formula 1 on those occasions in the 90s when the reigning champion decided to retire after winning the championship. So Kivo there, trying to bring some more success to that famous number 0 that almost won the Damon Hill Championship in 1994.
We'll see if either him or Knežević can have success with that this season. But in the meantime, it is Pushka from Poland's from Peckley and Laflamme as the top four. Aaron Curtis, a name you may remember from back in 2023, returning to the grid with one of the new teams, United Racing Club. Now follow Denny Vella around, comes in and aborts the lap.
And Kurt is not the only returning name that we haven't seen last year, or at least for a long time. Gustavo Frigoto is back in a new team. Bravo Snow Shatton, all Brazilian lineup. There we have him. Currently they're expected to be the weakest team car-wise, but Frigoto has achieved some good results when he was driving for several teams in 2023 as a backup driver. So it will be exciting how he does with that new team. At the meantime, Ruben Meschede coming across the line and to the top of the timing sheets.
And Ruben Meschede, of course, after 2 seasons with Optimal Esports, the team pulling out at the end of last season, he moves over to SCMM, and it's going to be a really interesting dynamic between him and Philip Pushka. Obviously, Push moving to SCMM last season, winning a race, trying his best to mount a title challenge, but just not quite able to keep up with those 2 HRTs. But now, there's a bit of a power vacuum at the top, and with Meschede there, you could argue that team now kind of has 2 number ones, and they're going to be very close and fighting each other. Poland's obviously is going to see this as a really big opportunity, and Vanguard Engineering took Optimal Esports' slot, so they got a lot of their resources, so they're not starting from scratch. So they've got a good base to work from. So we immediately expect to see Pascal Poland's up at the front, which he is. And at the minute, he's gone purple in the first 2 sectors, rounding the penultimate corner now, angling towards the line. Unless he's had a big moment in the second part of the lap, I don't see this being anything other than pole. It's not purple in the final sector, but it's enough to go 2 tenths clear at the top. In the meantime, Gabriel Peckley, who had an outstanding season last year for Potenza, one of the backmarker teams, he got a big move, and I think it was very well deserved, and he's over with Scuderia Cesario, and so far currently 4th. Really solid start to the session for him. The minute, though, 8 tenths down in the first sector, so he's got a long way to work up. In the meantime, here comes Pushka to maybe try and respond to both his teammate and Poland's. Getting a little bit of go from the United Racing Club car there just ahead of him. And it's purple in the final sector, but it's not enough to improve on third. And time's coming thick and fast at the minute. Now we cut to Victor B. With Infernal Void Racing in his second season with Infernal Void. Infernal Void had such a rough year last year after outperforming even their own expectations in their debut season and finishing 4th. They struggled to 9th in standings. A lot of first lap incidents, a lot of bad luck. They're hoping for things to be a little bit smoother this year. Victor B signing on for a second season with the team. And spoke to Paul Muller, team boss, yesterday, and he said they're hoping to use the power of Samba, as it's an all-Brazilian lineup, newcomer to the season, Jean Palauro, partnering B. Hopefully they can have a much more smoother and point-filled 2025.
Pushka apparently also with a new helmet, as I was able to see there. That looks awfully familiar, that one. In the meantime, Axel Laflamme, big signing also for Vanguard Engineering, had a super strong finish last year, even achieving a podium finish with Kostec. He is having a bit of a more silent qualifying session so far. He should be up there with the Cesarios. Currently he is missing 6-7 tenths to Lucas Murno, who has put in a time that puts him right behind Poland's and the 2 SCMMs, who are expected to be the favourites for this race. Currently he's getting a bit of a tow from his teammates, so that might be a bit too close, and I think he's backed off of that lap.
Going to be interesting lap, see if he can get up there. He looks promising in testing, but as even he himself said when I caught up with him on Friday, there is a fair amount of sandbagging going on, so this is where the true pace gets revealed. And qualifying was one of the things he excelled at, especially. He got great results in the final two races of the season, but even before things came together in the race, qualifying was one of his specialities. So let's see if he can improve and get closer. In the meantime, Lucas Murno, his second season with Scuderia Cesario, picked up his first win last season, but after then, couldn't quite replicate the form, string of fourth places, and then the end, his incredible point-scoring run, which lasted over a calendar year, coming to an end. Let's see if he can pick things back up this season. DNF from his last two races. Here's Daniel Benton Reader in his third season with Better Julia. Had a really strong start to the year last year. Performances did fade a little bit, but still managed to pick up points fairly consistently throughout the season. Better Julia logging their best ever finish, 5th in the Constructors' standings with 40 points. In the meantime, La Flamme, it's a purple middle sector, it's a much lap, and as expected, he's in the mix within half a second of Pascal Polens, and it's half a second separating the top four at the moment. And Pushka is on another push lap as he flies through fast sweeping turns 11 and 12. Coming through the final sector now, running a little bit wide, just keeping his foot in it, kicking up a little bit of dust. Just 2 corners to go. Approaches the 16th and final corner. Hammer down towards the line. It's an improvement, but how much closer will it get him? It's a purple final sector, but again, it's not enough to move him up. He's still a 10th behind his teammate, 3/10 behind the pole time of Poland's.
Yeah, but one lap from Flamme, and also Dominic Rustemeyer. I was about to talk about him. Debut race in WMSC, and this is quite impressive. 7th, he's up there just behind the top teams from last season, so incredible what he's been able to pull off. Let's just hope that he can keep this up in the race.
And teammate Curtis is just behind him as well. Both of those United Racing Club cars looking like they've got decent performance. And, they are the sister team of Vanguard Engineering. So while they may not have the same budget because they are a new team, which means they're going to be starting from a much lower rung of the ladder, there is going to be, I believe, setup help and technical help between the teams. So that's going to be really useful for them. And I think it's already paying dividends in the, solid performances for these first laps. In the meantime, Pushka is already flying round. He's going to complete another lap again. Improvements, but he's still 2 tenths down, 1 tenth down after the first and second sectors respectively. Across the line, it's another purple final sector. He's just 2 thousandths of a second behind his teammate, but he still can't get out of third place.
Yeah, that is quite the impressive battle there between the two SCMMs. I haven't seen a flying lap from Ruben Mesh. Oh, there we go. Right on cue. Again, first sector, like his teammate, he is a 10th down on Poland's time. It is an improvement at the moment. Second sector split is coming up in a couple of seconds as well. Another 10th down. But I think the final sector, at least for Pushka, was the one where he was gaining on Pascal Poland. So let's see what Ruben can do. You talked to him before the race, and I think he has tipped Poland's pole position. Let's see how this goes. This will already be the final lap time we see from Ruben Messer. The checkered flag is out. Around the final corner he goes. What's the time going to be like? It's pole position provisionally for Ruben Meshed out of nowhere. What a final sector that was.
Oh, can Poland's respond though? He's purple in the first sector, but as you point out, it does seem like the SCMM is at its strongest in that final sector. And as you said, I spoke to Ruben. He seemed like very adamant that the cars are better on grip this year. But actually, is it not that the cars are better on grip, and actually SCMM's starting place is also better on grip? But was that the other SCMM?
Cesario. It was Cesario. I think it was Peckley, number 4 car.
Well, he manages to stay out the way of Pascal Polens, who's gone purple again. Is he going to have the pace in this final sector? A slightly more lower downforce setup, philosophy to begin the season with Vanguard. Is it enough? Can he retake pole position? Yes, he can. It's not a purple final sec, but he does enough over the first 2/3 of the lap, and he takes pole by 1/10 of a second. Now, I think Murno will have, he will have crossed the line after the checkered flag, so I don't think this is a flying lap, although he does look like he is absolutely pushing very hard.
But I think it can't be. I think the session is over for longer than 30 seconds, so...
Yep, I think that is it. So that gives us our first grid of the season. So on pole position, we have Pascal Polens, and he is on pole by 1/10 from Ruben Meshed. Philip Pushka, 2 SCMMs right around him, and then Akla Flamans up in 4th. Lucas Murno, 5th for Scuderia Cesario. An incredible first performance from both United Racing Club and Dominic Rustermeyer, up in 6th, ahead of the other Cesario Peckley. Denny Vella for Lucky Hamish Racing in 8th. Aaron Curtis in 9th. And Gonzalez Cativo in the Holland Racing Team, rounding out the top 10. That is the highest Holland Racing Team car. It's a new world order, it seems, in 2025. Daniel Benson Reader, in the meantime, is 11th ahead of Victor B for Infernal Void. Gustavo Fragoto, the highest Bravo Snow Shackman, in 13th ahead of Jean Paloro. Diogo Meneghetti for Potenza Esports is ahead of João Fernando. Misha Smith in the second Holland Racing Team car in 17th ahead of Harley Self, making his debut for Velocita Virtuale. Maximilian Jaeger, another newcomer for Beta Julia, in 19th ahead of Thomas Rashke, who is super subbing in this afternoon for Jendrik Beerhoff at Velocita, rounds out the top 20. And in the past, that's where it would end, and it does end today because we only have 20 of the maximum 24 seats filled. Thank you to T. Bents in the comments for that, about saying, you're happy to see us back. We're happy to be back. And before we disappear for the little break ahead of the 10-minute warm-up, we might as well show you the calendar, because we didn't quite get time to show you at the start. So we will show you the full calendar for 2025. And as you can see, obviously we're starting in Melbourne, Australia. We have 16 races this season, 8 before the summer break and 8 afterwards. We once again go to Bahrain. We return to Kyalami, South Africa, after missing out last season. Once again back to Montreal. The American race goes to Austin, Texas, replacing Watkins Glen. Another race at Monza, Italy. Then Spielberg, Austria, new to the calendar this year, before ending the first half of the season in Budapest, Hungary. Then another new addition, Imola, San Marino, before going to Spa and Silverstone. Baku and Abu Dhabi join the calendar, as do Kuala Lumpur. Great to see Sepang back on the calendar. And then we finish Suzuka and Interlagos, but those final 2 races flipped around this year, so our curtain closer will be in Brazil. Surely not related to the amount of Brazilian drivers we have on the grid, I'm sure. So, if you're new, the basic setup is there is a warm-up session, and then the race will start at around 25 minutes past 4 GMT, or 25 minutes past 5 Central European Time. So we will have a short break, and then we'll be back for lights out and the first round of the new season. welcome back to the season opener of the World Monoposto Sim Racing Championship 2025. We are at Albert Park in Melbourne, Australia. You're seeing the end of the warm-up, and it's a very interesting first qualifying session. So there are a total of 24 seats this year across 12 teams. We have 20 present today. Only one team not, unfortunately, making it to round one, and that is the Magnum Motorsports team, who, compared to last year, had a completely new lineup. Paolo Bellamy, who raced for Optiminal, and newcomer João Marcos Angeli, but unfortunately neither of them present for round one, so we hope we can see them in round two. But otherwise, we have the other four new teams on the grid for this season, and on pole position is one of those new teams, Vanguard Engineering, with Pascal Polens, and a couple of people tipped Pascal as the early favourite for pole, and it seems to have come to fruition, Robin.
Yeah, it does, but I think the race will be an entirely different situation because he has to defend from two SCMMs. So this is a situation that Polens might not be used too much to. Last year, it was him working together with Yanis to fend off Philip Puschke or Lucas Murno, who were the sole challengers. This time, it's the other way around, and Meshed and Puschke can work together to try and get ahead of the Vanguard. It will be interesting to see which role Axel Flam can play from P4, but yeah, it should definitely be an interesting race.
Yeah, absolutely, and this is one of the things that made the Holland Racing team so formidable over those first two seasons. They were just unmatched at their team play. They always had Yanis Volborn and Pascal Polens in play at the front, and it was usually a situation where actually that the other teams would only have one driver in the mix to really go against them, whereas now there's two solid SCMM drivers up against two solid Vanguard Engineering drivers. It could be a very interesting battle. And speaking of HRT, what a remarkable turn of fortunes to see them down in 10th and 17th. Surely not what Yanis Volborn will be looking to see as he's moved into a team boss role. He was very busy in warm-up is clearly coming to an end. Yeah, he was very involved in testing and looked quick in the car himself, but at the minute, Gonzalez Cativo and Misha Smith not quite getting out of it. And it would be interesting to see if Alexander Knezovic was here, because he's a very quick driver in his own right. Would he have fared any better, or are they just having problems with the car and the setup at this moment in time? We're not sure. Right, we jump into the race session. Let's go over that starting grid before we get going. Pascal Polens on pole position, a first ever pole for Vanguard Engineering, ahead of Ruben Meshida and Philip Pusch of SCMM. Axel Flam will look to get involved from fourth place. Lucas Murno in fifth, ahead of Dominic Rustemeyer in the new United Racing Club team. Gabriel Pecchi in seventh, his debut for Scuderia Cesario, ahead of Denny Vella, his debut for Lucky Hamish Racing. Aaron Curtis in the other United Club, and Gonzalez Cativo and Holland Racing Team round up the top 10. Benson Reader in his third season for Better Julia, alongside Victor B in his second season for Internal Void. Gustavo Fragoto returning to the grid for new team Bravo Snowshatten in 13th, alongside Jean Polaro and his debut in 14th for Infernal Void. And then Meneghetti and Meneghetti and João Fernando there. Row 9, Misha Smith and Maximilian Jaeger. And the last row, Thomas Raschke and Harley Self, rounding out the grid for today. Well, some traditions never change. The revs come up, the lights go on. Oh, and they go out in Australia, and immediately Pascal Polens gets a penalty. You could see that visibly. He jumps the start, but it's a great start from Axel Flam. He's at the inside of at least one of the SCMMs. Through turn one, does everyone get through safely? It's hard to tell. Polens leads away, but he's got a penalty immediately. Meshida immediately. Flam is alongside. The straight line speed of that Vanguard clearly looking a little bit more formidable, but he has to tuck in behind Meshida for now. But there's a chance for Puschke to get alongside. They bang wheels as they go through side by side, and that's a brilliant move from Philip Puschke, and he's through. However, this is the section of the track that Flam will look to get back at him on, but at the minute, he looks to be struggling with grip a little bit, and he's already under threat from Lucas Murno. The top 5 streaming away immediately And Murno, is he going to have a look into the fast left-hander of turn 11? Can't tell at the moment. He thinks better of it. Can Laflamme settle down? Such a shame he had a good start, but just couldn't get things under control in those first few corners. But immediately, drama as Poland's jumps the start.
Yeah, and you were able to see it quite clearly. There was he dropped the clutch too early. There was a movement before the lights went out. I think it wasn't even a fantastic start because he realized it stopped as there's still a battle going on between Philip Puschke and Axel Laflamme. And Puschke aggressively immediately takes the inside. I wonder, Axel Laflamme not even going for the slipstream. He just keeps on going straight, trying to get a move out of turns 1 and 2, but he's too far away. And in the background, Lucas Murno is rubbing his hands. He was very close halfway through that first lap, but I think they have now settled in their respective positions. Also quite a disappointing start for Dominic Rustenmeier, who dropped from 6th on the grid down to 9th and has to defend from Victor B now.
And Victor B with a decent start, up from 14th. And it's worth noting at this point that he is in a points position because there is a new change for this season. Points are not the top 8, they are the top 10. So there's obviously more places on the grid, but there's more points on offer. And B already having a little look at Rustenmeier, but that room was always going to run out, needs to take his time and pick his moment. But yes, the top 10 point system is 15 for a win, 12 for second, 10 for third, and then it goes 8, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. That is your top 10 points. So, much more on offer, much more to fight for many of these teams. João Fernando, who raced for Magnum Motorsports last season and got in the points a handful of times, he's not far away. You look for a moment, there's a little bit of a slidey moment there coming through, but Bravo Snow Shatton, could they maybe pick up a point or two on their debut? In the meantime, Beckley down to 7th, not the best start for him. And he's behind the sole Lucky Hamish racing car of Denny Vella. And it'll be interesting to see how Denny Vella does. He typically, Denny starts seasons very strong and then seems to fade away. So it'll be interesting to see how he gets on with Lucky Hamish and if he's able to continue throughout the season. But on his day, a solid racer who's, appeared in the points quite a few times. So we'll have to see how he goes. But we're back on board with Axel Laflamme. And look at the speed, the closing speed. He's going to try to go around the outside of 11. That's brilliant from Axel Laflamme, and he takes full advantage of the different design philosophy in that car. But Puschke's going to come straight back. He's got the slipstream. This is the section of the track that is, slightly stronger for SCMM. Robust defending from Laflamme, good work. But he's going to be climbing all over the back of him, but Puschke has to back out a little bit. Oh, Puschke almost losing it on the grass there. A little bit over on the rumble strip on the outside, but Laflamme's made the move, and that's important to split those SCMM cars. And there's going to be strategy talks going through already because Poland is going to have to serve that penalty soon.
Yeah, I think there is strategy already going on because, as you were able to see in that battle between Laflamme and Puschke, Laflamme is on a different tyre set, and so is Pascal Poland. So this appears to be the soft option. This is also a change in a tyre, so there are 3 dry compounds now available to everyone, and you have to use 2 of them during a race. So there is a soft, a medium, and a hard compound, and Pascal Poland's currently on the soft one, as is his teammate Laflamme. Well, at least we were able to see Puschke is on the yellow wall tyre, which is the medium, and there is a big moment for one of the Bravo Snow Shattons. I guess this is Fugoto behind Misha Smith, who is in a battle with the other Bravo Snow Shatton of João Fernando.
It's very lively, as you'd expect for race 1, but great to see that everyone has seemingly managed to get through turn 1 without issue. All 20 cars running, although obviously Meneghetti far off the back, so he might have been bothered in something. I might have spoken a bit too early on that. But every car's still running at least. We had a very chaotic start last year. So nice to see everyone running and fighting hard. In the meantime, Laflamme, fastest lap of the race, putting a marker down. Now he's in clear air, and I think he's looking to close that gap to Meshida. Peckley, in the meantime, only 3/10 off the back of Vela. He's a little bit of understeer, fighting the car a little bit through turn 1, but looking to try and get up behind his fellow Scuderia Cesario driver.
We're in lap 5 already, and I think this is the last opportunity for Pascal Polens to serve his penalty, if I'm not mistaken. So I think he needs to come in at the end of this lap, and then it will be Ruben Meshidi in the lead. However, Axel Flam is the quickest car on track currently, so one Vanguard off the race lead, the second one really trying hard to retake it from Ruben Meshidi as soon as Poland serves his penalty.
Absolutely, and another interesting change for this year, which might affect how difficult it is for Axel Flam to get past, as Poland does dive in to serve his penalty, is you may be able to see the DRS boards there, but there is no DRS. These cars no longer have DRS, so that decision to go from lower downforce focus, reducing drag in their first upgrades of the season, Vanguard, is that a tactical one to try and overcome that and mean they can make moves? In the meantime, Pascal Polens comes out just ahead of Curtis, sister cars, so I'd be surprised if Aaron Curtis does immediately go for a dive, but I think Polens will be able to try and rebuild and work back up from there. How much will that affect his race? In the meantime, Meshida leads, getting over the dirt. Axel Flam, the gap is closing, and he has an opportunity to fight for the race lead on his debut for Vanguard Engineering.
And I'm glad to see that the racing so far has been quite well. Axel Flam versus Philip Puschke especially. There have been some concerns of some drivers that overtaking is difficult or near impossible because of the removal of DRS and push to pass, which we didn't even have last year. So far we cannot confirm that, and let's see if Axel Flam can pull off a move against race leader Ruben Meshida in his debut, in his first full season in WMSC, and his debut for Vanguard Engineering.
Oh, absolutely. The lack of DRS may make it difficult to get moves done when you're within a second, but hopefully it doesn't make it impossible. It might make defending a little bit more creative and a bit more interesting. We might actually see a few more duels and battles, so let's hope it promotes that rather than a lack of racing. There were complaints that Dirty Air is back up, that the cars are a touch slower in the straight line, but they seem grippier in the corners. But we'll have to see how it goes. It could all be varying because obviously all these cars have different design paths, and it's much more varied than last year. Last year we were able to kind of group their initial philosophy into 5 categories, from very low to very high downforce. As Axel Flam has gone for it into turn 12, he's done one move round the inside, one on the outside, and he now leads in Australia. Incredible stuff. Will he be able to pull a gap, or can Ruben Meshida fight back? And as we said, it looks like Laflamme is on the more aggressive tyre. On board with Ruben Meshida now. I think that was a error with the replay there. I think we got the wrong clip. Apologies for that. We'll see if we can get it back for you, but we are just working out a new technical system this afternoon, so apologies if there are any issues with the coverage. We're just working it out as we go. But great move from Axel Flam. Can Meshida fight back? This is the thing. Flam seems to be the quickest man on track, but he's got the more aggressive tyre on, I believe. I'm right in saying that, aren't I, Robin?
Yeah, I definitely think you are. At the moment, Meshida is sticking with him. From what I can gather and see here is that the slipstream seems to be quite powerful. We've also seen that in Poland's battle with Peckley and Weller. By the way, Poland has made it back up into P5. So he's now on the hunt for Lucas Nerno, as he's trying to work his way up after the drive-through penalty. But From what we can see from this onboard, I think it's not only the tyre, but the Vanguard seems to be quicker in a straight line compared to the SCMM. So La Flamme was having massive inroads on both Meshida and Pushka in a straight line. Meshida, not really. Let's watch it on the main straight, and there's not much happening for Meshida here.
Yeah, it seems there's the key differences in the starting choices made on the designs of these cars, and it's serving La Flamme well at the moment. In the meantime, Poland is already back past Peckley and put, almost 3 seconds between them, and now he's trying to chase down Lucas Murner, so he currently splits the Cesarios. Clearly, the Cesarios not quite at the level of these top 2 teams at the moment.
And this has been something that we've been discussing before this season, so they seem to have a very weird development strategy, as we have a first DNF in Harley itself for Vallecito Virtuali. So Cesario had a very strong season in 2024, so a lot of budget they should have in hand, and they have in hand, but they haven't really spent too much on developing their car, so they kind of fell off a bit. They may be able to come back later this season, but for now, it's a bit of damage limitation for Lucas Murner.
Yeah, absolutely. If he can just continue to pick up points well in this early phase of the season, and hopefully development can kind of come back round to them, he might still have a chance. But at the minute, yeah, he's very much not as close to the top as he was at certain points of last season. SCMM have built on their improvements, very much having a much better season in 2024 compared to 2023. And it seems like they continue to build in that direction. But for now, Vanguard have taken the base of Optimal, and they seem to have made the correct early decisions in terms of how to set up their car. But it could change from track to track. Bahrain in a couple of weeks' time will be a much different prospect, and I can imagine it swinging back the other way, or to SCMM in that occasion. But still a long way to go, and also we have to factor in that both of these Vanguard cars are on the more aggressive tyre compared to both SCMM cars. So that will form an interesting part of the strategy as well. And, by getting rid of the tyre sets and using a more standard setup, i.e. the 3 dry tyres, soft, medium, hard, use 2 of them, we've got a much more wider variation of strategies. So we're seeing people starting the race on soft, medium and hards, whereas for the most part it was usually see the super soft or the medium as it was last season. So the variation this season and how those tyres degrade will be interesting as the race unfolds.
Yeah, and so far, it seems like the pace discrepancy is balanced out a bit at the front. Meshida now sticking with La Flamme. Gap is pretty much staying the same around the 1 second mark. So that could later on develop into an advantage for SCMM again. Will also be interesting to see what strategy is everyone on. Is it going to be a 1-stop, 2-stop race? We've seen a lot of strategy variation in the past here at Melbourne as well. As we're now watching a Bravo Snow Shatten battle between João Fernando and Gustavo Frigoto. I wonder if there are any team orders that will apply.
Now, I don't know how much this will impact or maybe point to what's going on at the front, but I'm pretty sure we've just seen Maximilian Jaeger come in and have his first stop on lap 11, and Jaeger was on the soft tyre that the leading Axel Laflamme is on, and as you can see, he switched to the Whitewall harder tyre. So could be a very different situation. Obviously, Jaeger running a lot lower down the order and very different cars in terms of the Better Julia. It's his debut, but I wonder if that is going to point to how long those tyres last. They're saying no stops on the graphic. My timing screen is absolutely saying he's been in and switched tyres.
Yeah, it's the same for me. I think he definitely has been in. He was ahead of Thomas Raschke, so he definitely dropped a position as well doing that. As Pascal Polands is really taking track limits to the limit and beyond, but he is soon close enough to try and overtake Lucas Murno in the Cesario ahead of him. 1.5 seconds the gap only, and you can see it developing live.
He seems so confident, firing through turns 11 and 12. He's reeling in Murno very, very quickly indeed. And it's interesting you mentioned track limits there. We've had a couple of previous years where a lot of people got caught out by track limits while racing here, and it's cost them valuable track position. And I think they're going to have to be careful for that. I think it's an easy circuit to be able to just run wide or run across the curbs a little bit too much, and then you get punished, and track limits are handled by the game. There is a limit set ahead of the weekend that they have to adhere to, but if you get given track limits penalty, it is non-negotiable, and you will have to serve a penalty.
Yep, and I think Pascal Polands will have had enough penalties for the day. I really wonder what happened at the start there, if it was just, maybe a hardware thing, or just getting a little bit too excited for the start of the season. But yeah, he now has to recover from there. But his teammate is doing a fantastic job filling in for him.
He's absolutely stepped up, and after the wobbly first couple of laps, after a decent getaway, he recovered and managed to overhaul both of those SCMMs. It's just how big is the tyre offset going to be? How many more laps Meshida and Pushka can get out of those medium tyres? And what are they moving on to? Are we looking at 2 stops? Are we looking at 1 stop? What are they going to go to? Be interesting to see, because we certainly don't know the durability of these tyres. Can the hard tyre do 30 laps at best, or can it do something ridiculous like 45? So are they just looking at a 1 stop? It's all unknown to us at this point.
Yeah, exactly, and I don't think that Maximilian Jäger is a good indicator on the performance of the soft tyre, because as you can see, for Pascal Polands, it's still working absolutely well, and so it is for Axel Flam, who's still able to keep up the gap with Ruben Messer, though it has dropped half a second again. It was up to 1.5, it's now down to 1.1 again. But now Smith and Benton Reed are in the pits.
Yeah, just spotted that, so that's very interesting. Misha Smith was on the harder tyre, I'm sure. Benton Reeder was on the medium. So I am not sure why they come in. Kadivo also in. There is Benton Reeder still on the mediums by the looks of it. I wonder if there has been coming together.
Yeah, might have been. We did not see that, but I wouldn't put it past them, because it was two cars at the same time in the pit, so there might have been contact. We also, Pascal Polands made it past Murno without any issues, and now John Polaro is in a bit of traffic here. He can go quicker than Frigoto ahead of him. Has a little look there, but ultimately backs out of it. And I think, has he lost it there, or did he catch it? I think he caught it.
Might have just been able to. All wings seem to still be there, but that looked like it was about to be moments from disaster. In the meantime, Denny Vella is in. Vella started on the mediums. That's 15 laps for him. He's certainly not come in after having any issues. So, interesting. Some of the teams lower down coming in on medium tyres, and no, it's certainly not. I don't know. It's interesting. We're not seeing that much drop off from Meshta and Pushka, also on the medium. So we'll have to see how this goes.
Yeah. So Danny Weller, I think he's come out still on the mediums, which is surprising, I think. so no change in terms of the tire compounds. So if he was that unhappy with the mediums to stop at lap 16 already, why not try something else? But okay, so we're looking at a lot of pit stops for some of these guys if that trend continues. But here, still, no drop-off from anyone. Philip Pushka, though, has caught up to that battle, and I wonder if that is the dirty air that Ruben Meshida has told us about before that race, because they're all keeping a distance of like 1.1 seconds to the car ahead. Maybe this is just the area where it's tolerable, and as soon as you get closer, you start to struggle. Also, it's a lot of midfield runners that are going off and going into the pits, so that might also be an issue, that this running in the dirty air and in the mid-pack is having a negative effect on tyre life.
Yeah, no, it's very interesting. I'll be interested to see who of the top teams goes in first, because at the minute there doesn't seem to be any comparable drop-off between the two of them. And in terms of grip, you know, it all seems relatively similar. It's almost seemed like the biggest key difference is the straight line speed more than the tyres for Vanguard. But Laflamme now just making his way through traffic. Saw an issue last season where I believe it was Ruben Meshida who got caught up in traffic and had to pit for a wing, hoping not for a repeat of that this season for Laflamme, whereas Ruben Meshida might be quite hoping that's the case. But after passing that marker, Meshida is a lot closer now.
Yeah, and I think I saw Laflamme struggling in some of those turns, so I think that now might be the point where Laflamme needs to come in. Let's see if he can stabilize this on his pace, but right now Ruben looks so much quicker.
Yeah,
not close enough to make a move though, but yeah, he's definitely gaining now.
When you consider how confident Laflamme was through to 11 and 12 to make those moves on both SCMMs as Fernando Labau gets a penalty. Yes, it absolutely is that. 17 laps and the soft tyre has run its course for the race leader. And this is where things are going to get interesting, because now strategies are going to change. And obviously Poland, who's finally worked his way back up to fourth, he's going to not be far off needing a stop himself.
No, surely not. So it seems like he's taking a bit better care of his tyres, but I can't imagine that he'll be far off his first pit stop either. But now at the front, all this running behind Axel Laflamme has put the two SCMMs back together. And that will also be an interesting thing about prioritization when they go in for their first pit stop.
Absolutely, and again, this is something that Hun Racing Team managed very well without any kind of like friction moments. They kind of had an agreement on, if you're in the lead by this point, you get priority on stops, or if you lead into turn one, then you're the priority for the race win. They had an agreement, they had a plan, and they stuck with it. So it'll be interesting to see if Meshta and Pushka have got a similar thing in place where it's like, okay, we're not going to battle, we're going to kind of hold station, or if there's going to be a window where they can fairly fight each other. Because, SCMM clearly have a competitive car, and they are both race winners in this. That there's only 4 drivers, I think, off the top of my head, that have managed to win races in both of the seasons so far, and 50% of them are driving an SCMM. So, they are both going to have equal claim to wanting to be at the front. In the meantime, Axel Laflamme has gone onto the hard tyre. So how long will this hard tyre last? Will that be him done for the day? Or is he going to bookend it with another stop later on to finish on a soft tyre? We can only find out. We have no indication what the life of these tyres are going to be. Oh, and Laflamme getting a little bit sideways. That's the second time he's done that. Maybe he's just having a little bit of issues getting them up to temperature at the moment as he chases down Lucas Murno.
Yeah, and it is the same corner. He did exactly there as well at that lap when he passed the back marker and had a battle with Ruben Mesheder. Now, this is very interesting because I think we're in the territory where it's hard to tell. He could be on a one-stop, but he could as well go long now on the hard and then go for a very quick stint at the end on the soft. For now, his main worry is getting past Lucas Murno as quick as he can. He's not close enough for a move into this corner. And now he has to wait for turn 1 for the next good overtaking opportunity, but he lost a lot of time by running right there. That might save Murno for a couple of corners at least.
That might have been a good example of seeing what the effect of the dirty air is like when you're following closely. He may have had a little bit of aero wash there that just made him drift wide, and as you say, it has saved Lucas Murno for now, but the closing speed up to that point was frightening. Like the Flam, clearly, because obviously, you know, Murno is on mediums that have started the race, so he's probably fighting with them, but at the same time we also know the straight line to this Vanguard seems quite formidable at this point. And this could be the opportunity once again, but there is traffic. One back marker does get out of the way. There's another car there. I think that slight set Murno offline, and that being offline almost kind of caught LaFlamme off, and that means he is going to have to up and catch up again.
Yeah, this is his favourite overtaking spot here. I think that was where he was trying to be especially early on the power to get a good run into these very fast sweeping corners there, because this is where he passed Pushke and where he passed Mesheder each. But again, this has cost him, and now he has to stay behind Murno for maybe yet another lap. Also, speaking of fighting with tyres, I think Pascal Poland's pit stop. Oh, there is someone going very much out of the way of these two guys, and there is a yellow flag now, unsurprisingly.
Jaeger, that was very strange. Like, I understand there may have been blue flags, but that almost seemed like he just went straight on.
Yeah, it can also be a hardware issue. We've seen that in the past as well, where people just were opening the steering wheel for no reason. And the Flam has made it past.
Has done so on the run down between turn 2 and 3, and he's managed to stick close with him and get the job done. And he'll be happy to have cleared him relatively quickly, because obviously now with there being diverging strategies, he doesn't want to lose too much time and try and make the most of these tyres while they are good. And Mesheder, Pushka and Poland's are all on rubber that is probably past its best by now. Poland's is doing a very good job of elongating this first stint though, and trying to run as long as he can.
Yeah, and I think if he stops onto the hard tyres, I think he's very much in one-stop territory, Pascal Poland's. And I was worried that he was dropping back because it looked like that for a couple of laps, but now he's gained a bit on Philip Pushke again. That might also be down to traffic and cars that Pushke had to lap. We see in the background the Bravo's no Schatten, so that might have cost him a bit of time as well. But that all helps Pascal Poland still, as long as that gap does not increase anymore.
Does indeed. Interestingly, LaFlamme is showing behind Murno again.
Oh, right. Okay, so we didn't get a call from race control. I don't know if there was maybe a call to let him by. We haven't seen the overtake. Maybe he was off track or something, or pushed Murno out of the way. We have seen people being asked to give the position back, or he again has overcooked it in some of those corners. Okay. I get information from Kevin Peters, team boss of Vanguard Racing, that Axel LaFlamme almost crashed from dirty air of a back marker. So again, big moment for Axel.
Yeah,
has to do it all again.
There's definitely a learning adjustment is there. You can see it again as he gets closer. Ruben Mesheder is in lap 23. He's made those medium tyres last, so this is an important moment for him. So with all that time lost, will Mesheder get out ahead of Axel Flam. I think he will, and he does. And that has been a costly few moments for Axel Flam. Meshida ahead, and he's gone onto the soft tyre.
So I'm pretty sure this will be another pit stop for Uwe Meshida. I can't imagine that he makes it to the end on those softs. So that could put Pascal Polens back into contention, potentially. Because I think Polens is trying to go for the one stop.
Meantime, both Murno and Peckley have double stacked, it seems. Both the Cesarios in and out of the pits. Everyone, I think, in that top five, apart from Pascal Polens now, I think, has stopped.
Yeah, indeed. There's been so much going on in this battle for the lead, that strategic battle, that we have kind of missed what was going behind all of them. I think Eric Curtis, you're right, is the first car except Pascal Polens that is not pitted yet. So Polens still on those softs, making them work for almost half race distance. And Philip Pushka are those mediums, so he is also committing to a two-stop strategy.
Yeah, it's interesting. There's now quite a few people doing that. Fragoto has gone for it. Benton Reed on the mediums, although he stopped very early in that first stint, which again makes me question if something happened. But yeah, it seems like doubling up mediums and then maybe doing a second stop with one tyre that will get to the end is a preferred strategy by many. Whether it's the best one, time will tell. But now it is, at the minute, Pascal Polens leading the race, yet to stop.
Mashida, by pitting a lap earlier, has put 3 seconds on Philip Pushka. They were 1 second apart ahead of their pit stop. It's now 4.4. So again, the undercut could be powerful. You see that. Let's see how quickly, or if at all, Philip Pushka can get away from Axel Flam, who's just 1.8 behind him. Now, this is an interesting one. Misha Smith going for Polaro, and he makes it work through turn 1. Daring move as now Pascal Polens is in for what I guess might be his one and only pit stop this race. And it looks like it's the hard tyres, so that definitely is a one-stop strategy. So, a strategic split between the two favorites or favorite teams to win this race, and this is going to be a very exciting one now.
And I wonder if that was always the plan, or if that has been adapted slightly since Poland's got the penalty. It would be interesting to find out, because obviously they both started in the same tyre. Were they going to go the same way, or was it always the plan for Laflamme and Poland's to split strategies? Either way, this will be very interesting. Can he pace while keeping the durability in those tyres? Not by getting a load of dirt on them to begin with, Pascal. Come on. But let's see what he can do. Only 5 seconds behind his teammate at this point in time. I think, you know how we often get sometimes a visual glitch where we see different tyres. I was originally under the impression that the SCMMs had split, but the timing sheet is reading that they are both on the same tyre. So yeah, Reuven Meshida is on the soft, and I think Pushka is also on the soft as well.
Yeah, and we see that in-game now as well.
But they're going for a fast middle stint. So this is going to be interesting for them. They've got clear air, they're at the front, and they've got the quickest tyre. They need to make up as much time as possible in the clear air for that final stop. Because the chances are going to need either the medium or the hard to get to the end, whereas the Flam, stopping again, will probably move on to the soft, so he'll be able to push on the more aggressive tyre. And the biggest issue for all of them is obviously Pascal Polens, likely not stopping again. But will they have enough rubber to maybe chase him down when he's got worn hards at the end of the race?
Yeah, exactly. And from what we've seen from Pascal Polens, how long he made that soft work, I think Meshid and Pushka might be on a double soft stint now. They have done what they needed to do by switching from medium to soft, so they could go for the soft a second time in the final stint.
With all the excitement up front, there's so much going on, so many new drivers, so many kind of drivers at new teams and battles going further down. And also to look at Holland Racing Team, something that we've never really seen in the past couple of seasons, down in 17th, Gonzalez Cativo fighting with Thomas Raschke, who's in as a super sub this afternoon. Raschke losing out in the Velocita, straight line speed of the Holland Racing Team working, and Cativo up to 16th. Don't write off Thomas Raschke. In his one previous race, he started 18th and finished 8th. So strange things have indeed happened. In the meantime, Jean Palaro in the Infernal Void Racing car up in 14th in a string of cars. He's got Gustavo Fragoto ahead in the Forest Neuschattel, but he's got the blue light panel flashing at him. And is that race leader potentially Meshida coming through? Traffic looking pretty heavy. Like I say, it's going to be really important for them to try and cut through as best they can and make the most of the soft tyres.
And I think what we're able to see there is that the SCMM really is not that quick in a straight line. I mean, he passed Palaro there, but then I think it looked like Palaro had to back off as soon as he was in the slipstream of Ruben Messer to not run into the back of him, because immediately he was gaining on the SCMM again. So that might be something that might be an issue for them later this season, and that might also lead to them not being able to overtake as easily as some others are able to do that.
Yeah, it's a very good point. It almost made me, the closing speed once Meshida was passed was so quick. I was like, is that Ruben Meshida or is that another car entirely? So yeah, it was very deceptive. In the meantime, Gabriel Peckley on his debut for Cesario is taking on newcomer in the new team, Dominic Rustermeyer. Peckley looking up the inside, and that is a smooth, but he's gone a long way across the curb, but I think he's okay there. Either he's going to take the hit on the track limit there, or that was fine. That seemed a long way across there to me. I don't know, but gets the move done on Dominic Rustermeyer. And wow, there is definitely a pace disparity there. He is flying away already. In the meantime, Axel Flam in third, 8 seconds behind Philip Pushka, and just over 12 seconds away from the lead. Flam obviously running on the hard tyre. We've got Poland's behind, and Poland seems to be closing in quite quickly. Obviously on the same tyre, but on a newer hard tyre. But we're under the impression that Poland's is going to stay on this to the end of the race. But if he's pushing hard, is he? I wonder.
Yeah, I think he is pushing as hard as he can, because he needs to if he wants to challenge the SUM. But they are just driving away into the distance currently, and they are not too far away and putting an entire pit stop on these two. So yeah, currently that strategy with the hard tyre not working as well as they hoped for. And I really wonder at this point if that was not the famous plan A, but rather the plan B after the early penalty that Poland's got for jumping the start.
Oh, absolutely. Just spotted in chat, obviously, saying a disconnect is the reason for Gonzalez Cativo's retirement, which is remarkable. That is Holland Racing Team's second retirement ever in WMSC. So that is rough stuff, and I believe their other one was partially caused by a disconnect as well. So yeah, it's going to be a very, very interesting season then. It's not been the best start. It's not much better as we have a car off the road. That is one of the better Julias. I wonder if that is Maximilian Jaeger again. Benson Reed is in the pits. So yes, it is not in... Wow, Benson Reed is in the pits again. I wonder why that is. So he came in on lap 14 to put medium tyres on. He's in at lap 30, so it's a not super long stint. And unless we've got a game glitch, has he put the medium tyres on again? Surely not.
it looks like it's the mediums so far. So yeah, let's see. Maybe there was a moment, or are we getting tricked by the game's replay system again? Yeah, again, I think it's not showing what it's supposed to show.
Very much Daniel Benton reader. I think on the medium tyres. In the meantime, Denny Vella on the hards and doing a solid job for Lucky Hamish Racing for the kind of mystery surrounding them, their inherent lack of livery, their, discussions in the server yesterday about them not having a setup and not quite being prepared and only one driver. So far, Denny Vella is doing a solid job in that car and at the minute could pick up a couple of points. I believe Vella has stopped once already, so he just needs to keep his nose clean, and it could be a very solid result for the Comic Sans emblazoned Lucky Hamish Racing.
Yeah, before the race we were joking, is it going to be a Lola MasterCard disaster or a Braun GP success? Well, it's something in the middle currently for Lucky Hamish Racing and Denny Vella.
And Poland's is past Laflamme, and Laflamme clearly doesn't seem as comfortable on these hard tyres. He's cost himself a lot of time there. Still comfortably fourth, but Poland's is gone, and I wonder how hard he's going to be pushing to catch the guys ahead. If he really is pushing hard, it does seem like he's going to try and make the time up, and is doing 2 stops. So we will find out soon enough. In the meantime, Laflamme just trying to get settled and hope that he can over and get back in the fight when the strategies converge at the end of the race.
Yeah, I think the hards are just not working really well for him. Ever since he switched onto them, he's been sliding around like crazy. So pretty sure Laflamme will try and get rid of them at the next convenient opportunity. He has Lucas Murno behind. He's not a pit stop clear of Murno, so he needs to gain a bit on him. And Murno likely is going to the end as well, so this is a risk if he pits again.
I think he's definitely got the pace over Murno. The thing is, depending on how long he can go for, he has a free hit on tyres. He can run a medium and literally run one of each, or if he can get late enough, he can switch back to the softs, because he managed to make them last 25 laps to begin with. 17 laps for Flam managed to make them last, and we're not too far off lap 40, 41. And he could switch back to the soft tyres conceivably.
Yeah, and there can always be a safety car and push the order back around. So yeah, I think he's in a good position. He's still gaining on Murno, so in a couple of laps time he will have pit stop in hand over Murno, as here is an interesting 3-car battle developing between Rustemeyer, Curtis and Weller, who we talked about earlier in the... Well, that's 3 new teams, new cars competing here. So it'll be interesting who is the second best new team after Vanguard Engineering.
It's very interesting, like Weller has the best record of these 3 drivers, but obviously in an unknown quantity. United Racing Club are technically also an unknown quantity, but knowing that they have that partnership with Vanguard, they've got some good pedigree behind them. But Curtis, their best finish from 12 starts was in 8th place, and they are currently 8th, and they're chasing down their teammate Rustemeyer. So could be a chance to instantly improve upon their best previous finish in the debut for new team.
Yeah, exactly. That would be a great success. one driver I'm a bit disappointed in, or team maybe, in their performance today is Daniel Benton-Reader. He was a master in qualifying these last seasons, putting the car in places where it probably should not have been. But today, none of that. He's also a regular points contender. Currently, he is running only in 13th, in the middle of nowhere, far away from the fight for points. So yeah, I wonder if Battaglia have maybe gone down the wrong path, or if it's just not Benton Reader's day today.
Yeah, Benton Reader and Vela started last season very, very strongly indeed. Like I said, they weren't able to keep throughout the season, but the car was still in and around the points consistently throughout the year. Yeah, Benton Reader's the one constant in that team, so to see him down in 13th is surprising. And obviously Jaeger's making his debut, so it's hard to kind of judge in terms of adjusting things. Look at Axel Laflamme in 4th. His debut was incredibly rough, so Jaeger just might need to get bedded in before we can really truly see what his performance is like as well. But yeah, it does seem like Battaglia don't quite have the performance base this season. In the meantime, these three newcomers still following each other at a safe distance apart. And Bella has on those hard tyres now for 20 laps. While in the meantime, the United Racing Club cars ahead have yet to stop. They started on the hard tyres. So I imagine these guys are going for a one stop. So yes, they may drop out of the points, but most people seem to be doing 2 stops. So I think they are hoping they can run deep, maybe switch onto the mediums or even the softs, and still finish in the points. It's looking solid for them so far.
Yeah, so I think right now we're in a situation where we're all waiting on the decision of those that are 2-stopping when they're coming in for a second time. I think in the background we see Ruben Meschede arriving, the race leader, who is trying to lap this battle. So this could be very, very interesting and provide an opportunity for Danny Wellard, maybe, as long as he can keep out of the way of Meschede and not take him out in the process. This is a terrible situation for those being lapped, because you need to get out of the way, but you don't want to make it so that your direct opponents get an opportunity, and I think that is exactly what happened to Rustermeier.
Yeah, Rustermeier has lost both places there.
And he's off track.
And it's because he's had to get out of the way of Pushka as well. So will he have an opportunity to potentially come back? No, because I think Vela here can just stay wide, let off throttle, and Pushka can get through. Although, again, maybe he is struggling a little bit to get through. Such is the lack of straight line speed in that SCMM. It didn't seem like, Denny Vela. I think he was anticipating he would be able to lift off a lot less than maybe he had to.
Yeah, it was like, come on, get past, do it. I'm slowing down already. Like the Mr. Bean meme in the staircase with the grandma. So yeah, I think that might also be a bit down to inexperience with Rustermeier. We've seen. By the way, very nice design. It's 10 out of 10. But yeah, a bit of inexperience. It was being very, very nice, but a bit too nice. Yeah, maybe just wait one more corner and then let him by on the straight. So yeah, unlucky, I guess. As Smith is in.
That's Misha Smith in the one remaining Holland Racing Team car. I believe that is his first stop of the day onto the medium tyres, and I imagine that's going to be their only stop of the day. So in 13th on the medium tyres, there might still be a shot points for Holland Racing Team, eventually, if they are running for the one stop, which I reckon they will be. So Smith has gone quietly about his business under the radar, but could nick a point here. And let's just kind of shine a light on all of those kind of looking at points today. So obviously we know that Rustermeyer and Curtis have to stop, but are likely doing a one stop, so many people around them will need to stop again. But Smith, if he doesn't have to stop again, is in a good position. Vella's got good pace. And then obviously we've got Victor B for Infernal Void, Frigoto for Bravo Snow Shatton, who again is just on the periphery and only 3 seconds behind B. And then we have Benton Reader, who has already stopped twice now. And if he's on these hard tyres to the end, it may seem unconventional, but it might work. But he would have to do 28 laps on them. Rustermeyer is in, and so is Vella. And they will come out the order that entered the pits. Seems there's a couple of cars coming down. Start finish straight now. Is that going to be for position? Don't think it is. No, that is in fact one of the Vanguard cars. So immediately Rustermeyer has to bail out, but does so very well indeed. Frigoto also in. So a lot of people's final stops happening now. About 20 laps from the end. So I think for most of them, that's going to be medium time territory. I think we've only seen one driver, Pascal Polands, extend it beyond that today. And here comes Frigoto. 13th for Bravo Shatton. Solid start. Is there a chance for them to pick up points today?
And I think the way it is right now, it's already a bit of a success for them. They have arguably the weakest car from the information that we have, and Frigoto still is in a fight for the final point scoring position. So I think, they can book that as a success and move on from there. And surely there will be more chaotic races with more retirements, and this then is their chance to pounce. Now Eric Curtis is in the pits as well, and this is going to be very interesting for them where they come out in comparison to Weller and Rustermeyer, and I think Weller is going to be ahead.
Weller has had a brilliant outlap, and I think he's going to sweep past, but Weller is on that hard tyre. We presume he's going to have to stop again. So actually, distance-wise, Misha again is not the first time we've seen Misha try and make that move. That's incredible racing between Daniel Benton-Reader and Misha Smith. Well done to them for keeping it side by side. Misha's made that move once before, and John Polaro very much moved out the way. Daniel Benton-Reader a lot less compliant, but he makes it stick, and Misha Smith up to 11th.
Oh, and Benton-Reader with a big moment off that corner that has gone wrong in the past for many others. He just keeps it, and again, he has a bit of a slide. He looks like he's over pushing that car a bit. And I do understand the frustration. If you're a regular points contender and now you're down in 12, just being passed. Well, last year he would have been fine with just running a few seconds behind an HRT. This time, not looking that well.
Yeah, it's felt like a big shake-up for the order. We knew it was coming in terms of some of the big driver market changes, and obviously with Optimal leaving. But we were still expecting HRT to be very much amongst it. And like I say, it comes with a caveat of obviously the main driver that was in that seat as the teammate to Yannis Volbon last season, as Axel Laflamme comes in to stop with 18 laps to go. Knežević isn't there, so it'll be interesting to see what he can do with that car when he is able to race. In the meantime, Axel Laflamme rejoins 5th. He is going to have to try and pass Lucas Murno on the road to get back into the top 4. And it does look like he's gone to the medium based... Oh, no, sorry, the soft even, based on the timesheet. So he isn't to be on full attack.
Yeah, and I guess with 18 laps to go, that is a reasonable choice. I think he stopped on lap 17, if I read the data correctly.
Yeah, that's correct.
So now he has a lighter car, so I think it should be easily possible to merge these tyres now to the end. And hopefully, for his sake, pass Lucas Murner again, because that was the position I think he would have liked to lose. In the meantime, Aaron Curtis has been gaining on Danny Weller again, as it seems.
Yeah, obviously, Bella, my notes say, and I'm not sure if we've missed a stop here, potentially, because it says he has stopped twice, but he is on the harder tyre ultimately, and, you know, oh yes, no, we saw them stop at the same time as Rustermeyer, so he's chosen to go on the hard tyre to the end of the race, which is interesting because he did have a choice. He'd already run on the medium and the hard. That decision might be one he comes to regret, because that extra grip, Darren Curtis seems to be hunting him down quite quickly.
Well, it's just all the tyres that Lucky Hamish Racing have on their disposal. They have just ordered 3 sets. We have to go to the mediums. It's hard for the end. It's no choice.
In the meantime, Reuben Meshida is in now, and this is where it all comes together, the final stop. So Laflamme has already stopped. Meshida, is he going to switch back to softs as well? As a free choice. Here comes Polands, though. Polands has been pushing hard on those hard tyres. Is he going to do it? No, he's not there. The question is Polands going to try his best to keep up on the hard tyre, or is he going to still switch for the final part of the race? He's essentially got a free pit stop over Murno and teammate Laflamme at this moment in time. But this is the interesting one now. It's about who will win this race. So Meshida stopping first. Laflamme has set the fastest lap of the race and is charging. He's already up with Lucas Murno. Pushka, will he come straight in, or will he extend by a couple of laps? I think they stopped one after the other the first time around. I imagine we're going to see Pushka straight in. No, he stays out for now. In the meantime, here's Axel Laflamme. He's caught up Lucas Murno. Going to be deja vu for him. Murno on the hard tyres, and Murno pushing very hard. Laflamme, though, making sure he doesn't get caught in the dirty air again. He's going to make it very easy indeed. And he does. So Laflamme now back on what seems like his preferred tyre. Push. Final part of this race. In the meantime, Curtis right on the rear wing of Denny Vella. Looking to better his previous best of 8th in Monaco 2023. Can he get past the experienced former better Julia driver?
I think the thing for Aaron Curtis is they have to do it now, because the longer this race goes, the more the tyre advantage will swing towards Danny Weller again on the hard tyres.
Absolutely, they need to do what they can as quickly as possible. Obviously, as we said, no DRS this year. So it doesn't. They have that advantage. Excuse me. In the DRS zones, we can still see the boards on track, but these cars do not have it. So they're going to have to do this on slipstream and braking alone.
Yeah, so we are playing this the old way. You now have to work for an overtake. That, of course, will lead to less overtakes. But those that we will get are probably much more exciting than those standard DRS moves that you are so used to nowadays in single-seat open wheel racing. As Misha Smith back in the points for HRT, and he is looking to improve his position to 9th, to double the amount of points that he wants to score today. Rustermeyer trying to break the slipstream there. But Smith not doing any inroads on the main straights. Not much closer into the 3. And then, Melbourne in general, not a track that is famous for overtaking. So yeah, it's especially hard to do that here. In the meantime, Aaron Curtis is about to do just that, and this is Axel Flam's favorite spot. He doesn't. As soon as he gets out of the slipstream, look at that. As soon as he leaves the slipstream, it's advantage Danny Weller. Still, they're trying to hang on around the outside. Getting a better exit here might work for a move into the right-hander that is up next. They are forced the long way, and Danny Weller brilliantly defends his position. What a nice battle we're having here, but oh, the exit, there is a little bit of a moment for Danny Weller. Curtis tries to stick his nose up the inside of Danny Weller, but ultimately they stay behind. But what a nice battle this is. And this is the benefit of not having DRS, because with DRS that would have been long decided. And now, oh, what a move if they pull that off.
Oh, it's still not. No.
Brilliant.
Absolutely incredible racing. And just the lack of straight line speed in that United Racing Club car means they stay side by side once again. Are they still going to be side by side as they enter the left-hander? No. Finally, after being side by side for half a lap, the move is done. Aaron Curtis is ahead, but as we saw there, Aaron Curtis really struggling in a straight line. Oh, and I was going to say, if Benny Vella could stick with him, they would have a chance to fight back. But unfortunately, Denny Vella gets the exit all wrong, and Curtis has some breathing room.
That is a battle of the race stuff right there. I think that, and it was clean by both of them. They behaved fantastically there. So yeah.
So Pushka in, he's extended that for a very long time, to the point where it's been so easy for Mesha to reel in. He's going to come out just ahead of Pascal Polens, and with that fresh rubber, I imagine he's going to hang on. Polens, though, he's a determined driver, and he's got the momentum. He's going to look, but not quite. I think he's going to struggle to keep up with Philip Pushka on those fresh. And look at how quickly he's just been able to get the power down and grip up out of turn 4 there. I think Pascal Polens will be ruining that start, because I think this has put a cap on what he was capable of today.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, I think that was his one and only chance to put a move on Pushka there, and I don't even think it would have been it would have stuck for long in P2. I couldn't even imagine that he was going for the outside, which is unusual for this corner to try and make the move. So maybe he was even backing out because he knew it was pointless to pick that fight, because Pushka has so much better tyres. As here we are now with Misha Smith on board, trying to get past Dominic Rustenmeyer. That was never gonna work, but yeah, interesting tactic to switch from the outside to the inside there. But yeah, you need to be fully alongside or even ahead even into that fast left-hander to have a remote chance to pass anyone there. It's just too quick, that corner.
Oh, Polens has decided to come in, and I think will be safely in and out ahead of his teammate. He's got 10 laps, but there's no real tyre offset. I wonder if he's just going to try and take a fastest lap, which, once again, there is a fastest lap competition, so no points for fastest lap in the series, but there is a fastest lap competition where there's a cash prize for the driver with the most fastest laps at the end of the season. Like most things, it was won by Yannis Volborg last season, but it's a fresh counter, so will Polens try and take the fastest lap at the minute. That currently sits with Ruben Meshter with a 1 minute 20.2.
Ooh,
we've got
there
a
is a
slow, better Julia. Is that Maximilian Jaeger? I'm not sure. It is. We lost Jaeger briefly before. It was showing his DNF, so I think he might have disconnected, hence why he's 4 laps down. He's having a rough afternoon, it has to be said, but I'm glad he's kept going. I'm glad he is pushing on. In the meantime, Misha Smith is all over the back of Dominic Rustenmeyer. Sorry, the shadows on that made it look... Oh, yes, it was. That's because it wasn't Dominic Rustenmeyer. He was being lapped. Now he's all over the back of Dominic Rustenmeyer. Just getting out of the way of Avantgarde there. But the battle resumes, and Smith started 17th today, so has done an incredible job working his way up through the order. And as long as nothing goes wrong, he's got a point, and he could make it 2. Rustemeyer, in the meantime, wanting to make sure that he can take home a nice haul for his newly formed team. Philip Pushka, in the meantime, jumps into the 1 minute 19s for fastest lap. Lucas Murno, in the meantime, is in, and he's going to strap on some softs as well. He's got a comfortable pit stop over his teammate Peckley. And it is 3 teams occupying the top 6 places.
Yeah, I think Lucas Murno, he's a bit in no man's land this season. I think this is expected early this year, with the Cesario being not on the same level as the top drivers ahead. And is this Curtis? Just behind Peckley it is. So Curtis in yet another battle, and they might still finish this one 6th.
And Bella's just behind as well. So if Curtis is unable to clear Peckley quickly, this might become a 3-way battle. So trying to see Peckley stopped with a hard tyre. Have they 1 stopped? They have. Those hard tyres are going to be old. So Curtis has a very big tyre offset here, a real chance to get up to 6th. They just need to bide their time, I think, and make sure they get a good exit out of a corner and good traction. As you can see, slipstream slowly winding in. Blue panels are flashing. I wonder if they're being caught. As Misha Smith is in the pits.
Oh, again.
So they're not going to the end. Although that wiggling of the steering wheel looks a little bit suspect.
I don't think that is a scheduled pit stop. There's something wrong with... There is a rear wing
there's
missing.
a rear wing missing. That's why. And I wonder if there has been contact.
There was a long-standing yellow in Sector 3. Weller just 0.1 behind. Oh, they're side by side. We catch that just in time. And I think that might have been down to a failed overtake attempt by Curtis on Gabriel Peckley. They were super close, and they are close again as Pascal Polans sets the fastest lap. And we were able to see when we were on board with Curtis, they have the quicker car in a straight line, but they need to make it past them now. I think they do. Into turn 1, Gabriel Peckley tries to hang on round the outside, and incredibly he stays ahead. Now he forces Curtis the long way. Out the outside, does he dare to pull off that move? I think, this is going to be very close, but Peckley stays ahead. Incredible. Again, another battle involving Curtis, and now Vela has a tremendous opportunity to backs out of that one.
Peckley's been on those hard tyres since lap 23, so to be able to hang it around the outside against Curtis on relatively new mediums, that's incredible defensive driving. Now here comes Curtis again, quick in the slipstream, but he has been able to get it done before the 11th and 12th. Apologies, they have been able to get it done before turns 11 and 12, and Peckley now is going to have to try and defend quite hard, I imagine, from Denny Vella.
Big moment there for Peckley as well on the exit.
Now, as noted by Team Boss of Infernal Void, Paul Muller in the chat, Victor B has inherited that last points position from Misha Smith, but Daniel Benton Reader in the Better Julia is only a second behind. They are going to be scrapping over that final points position. So the fight has changed for these two. Both on hard tyres. Not sure how big the offset is between them. But interestingly, B has stopped once. Benton Reader has stopped twice. So B has got some work to do, because he is going to have warm tyres compared to Daniel Benton Reader.
Yeah, exactly. And this would only be Victor B's third point finish ever in WMSC.
Oh.
Okay, that was very, very much getting out of the way of that Cesario, I think it was. That was almost how Rustermeyer did that and lost 2 positions.
And Bella's through. Bella has passed Peckley. Looks like on the exact same place that Curtis managed to do it on the run down to 11 and 12. And Peckley now, he's falling backwards with these hard tyres. Dominic Rustermeyer next. It's a bold strategy with the one stop, but this is the flip side of it, is at the end of the race not having much to fight with.
Yeah, exactly. I think we can definitely say that is the wrong strategy call by Gabriel Peckley, because at the beginning of this race, pace-wise, he was comfortably ahead of them, and now this is also an interesting situation because I think that is Misha Smith and the only remaining HRT, and he is a lap down and trying to lap himself.
And that's interesting. That's interesting because obviously, we're not sure from the replay, but obviously, if it was the fight between him and Rustermeyer as well, that also might be Misha potentially showing his displeasure. I'm not sure, or he's just driving angry because obviously he had a shot at points and is now obviously a lap down. So not sure. It's hard to know. Just depends on how the fight between Misha Smith and Dominic Rustermeyer ended, but that did seem a little bit over-aggressive.
Yeah. I wonder what race control will have to say about that, because, if you're a lap down, it's not good looks.
A very interesting point has just been made in the chat that Thomas Raschke has yet to stop, and I don't think he's even on the hard tyre. I believe Thomas Raschke is on the medium, which is incredible that they've gone 53 laps. But yeah, there he is. It's an interesting strategy. Let's see if it pays off for him. But
what a legend. I think the only driver in WMSC with a 100% point scoring ratio. Sadly, this is going to end today, but yeah.
Oh, and Benson Reed looked closer to B there, but I think once again has had to bail out of the throttle to let a leader through. And as much as Benton Reader has the fresher rubber, running out of time, Rustermeyer in the meantime, back with Peckley. We half looked up the inside of Gabriel Peckley. But as they enter final corner, can Rustermeyer get the exit? No, it seems like Peckley's been able to get the power down a lot better there, despite being on much worn tyres. And Raschke is in to make a mandatory stop. I swear to God, if he comes out on the mediums again, I will lose it. But I imagine it's going to be soft. So in the meantime, Maximilian Jaeger running around at the back. 7 laps down overall, 3 laps down on the car ahead. Here comes Raschke.
Oh, so he's going for the fastest lap competition.
Of course.
That is it.
Yeah, might be. Rustermeyer, though, in the meantime, back with Peckley. Again, straight line speed in the slipstream. Closing speed is good. He's forced to the outside. He's going to have to make the stick round the outside, and he's managed to get the move done before being able to turn in. Good work. In the meantime, the final point position. Benton Reader versus B. They run down now on the long run through 9, 10, 10 and 11. Formerly a chicane, now a flat, sweeping section. And Benton Reader, is he going to go to the inside? He does. He manages to just sneak up the inside. B tries to hold it. Oh, and that was rash from Victor B. I know he's trying to hang on to the position, but I think he's over-defended that a little bit too hard. And Benton Reader does an excellent job to kind of style it out with the slide. But B now down to 11th. Daniel Benton Reader, after all that, might still pick up a point for Better Julia today, but it's certainly going to be a performance that has looked less confident than previous Better Julia performances. That is for sure.
Yeah, I wonder if they can improve in the next races, but that is a bit worrying because I think that is far below what they expected and what we're used to seeing of them.
Absolutely. In the meantime, we rejoin Reuven Meshida, who, since the final stops and pulling the undercut has been clear at the front. Meshida out-qualifying his teammate and now seemingly 4 seconds clear. It's a great debut from SCMM, and like we said, going to be unsure of the pecking order because Meshida and Pushka are both brilliant drivers in their own right. And Reuven Meshida will become the first WMSC driver to win a race in each of the 3 seasons, and it will be his first win not with Optiminal. He's got just over 1 more lap to go, but it's been a really good start to the season. In the meantime, Philip can also be happy with his performance, but there'll be some concerns. He'll be wanting to know how he can obviously best his teammate, but also he'll be very wary that the man in 3rd place, Pascal Polens, might be ahead of him if it wasn't for that mistake. The jumped start that saw him take a drive through, and now he's managed to cut the gap on the road to just 20 seconds. So the pace is very, very good from Pascal Polens. But yeah, that mistake cost him today. In the meantime, Axel Flam started 4th. Looks like he's going to come home and finish 4th. Had a good start, but then just kind of struggled to get the tyres warmed up. But led parts of this race, just couldn't keep it together on the hard tire to keep his challenge consistent. But will at least be happy coming home 4th. It'll be his second 4th place finish in WMSC. The previous one with Costech, and a good start for his new team. But here comes Reuven Meshida in to turn 13 Ascari and through to Stewart. He missed the first 6 rounds of the first season and came in firing. He missed early races in 2024 and was out of the championship fight from early, but now he takes the lead. He is on the point. Reuven Meshida wins first race of the 2025 WMSC season. Philip Pusher coming home for an SCMM 1-2, and I believe that is their first ever 1-2 as well. In the meantime, Pascal Polens, he was the favourite, but he'll still be very happy with his performance despite that mistake. Rounding out the podium for Vanguard Engineering, they're in the fight. Axel Flam stepping up from Costech after such a promising end to the season and delivering on it. Got some things to work out, but good pace, good result. It looks like it's going to be a 2-way fight in the constructors this year between SCM and Vanguard. But Scuderia Cesario, very much the 3rd best team on the day. Lucas Murner with a solid result. Can they improve their development over the course of the remaining 15 rounds and make themselves a factor in this season? For now, I think Lucas Murno, that is the best he can hope for this afternoon. Solid 5th place, and as you said, Robin, in a little bit of a no man's land. I think Curtis has already crossed the finish line. That is their best ever finish in WMSC, and they've done it after a year out and coming back with a new team. Brilliant result for them in 6th. Denny Vella, Lucky Hamish Racing, the Enigma team, getting points on debut. Denny Vella, another strong start to the season. Just behind Dominic Rustemeyer, you can see in the background, there's a double points finish for United Racing Club, and again, a debutante in the points. Gabriel Peckley makes the step up to Scuderia Cesario with a solid performance, but I don't think the strategy was the one today. Whilst Daniel Benton Reader, who will be unhappy with the performance of the better Julia compared to previous seasons, can at least still be happy to walk away with a point. And that is your top 10 point scorers from the first ever round of 2025. These are your provisional results. We're not expecting any penalties, so Meshida from Pushka, Poland's from Laflamme, Murno from Curtis, Vela from Rustemeyer, and Eckley from Benton Reader. Victor B just missing out that late confrontation, but Gustavo Frigoto can be very, very happy with 12th on his return to the sport, and a debut for Bravo Snow Shatt and John Polaro in the other Infernal Void in 13th. Misha Smith, what happened in that late confrontation, we're not sure. He could have been in the points today for Holland Racing Team, but an incredible no points, and I think that is the first time Holland Racing Team have failed to score points in a WMSC race. Jao Fernando in the other Bravo Snow Shatten is in 15th. 16th, Diogo Meneghetti in the only Potenza Esports. Rashka does eventually stop in 17th. Maximilian Jaeger, 7 laps down, we believe a disconnect disrupting his afternoon. And then the 2 DNFs, Gonzalez Gatillo of Holland Racing Team and Harley Self of Velocita Virtuale. Now, usually we get the top 3 in to have a chat, so we'll see if we can get them in once again. And see how they thought their debut race of the season went.
User was moved to your channel. User was moved to your channel. User was moved to your channel.
And we have the top 3 with us now. So let's start with the race winner, Reuven Meshida. Reuven, congratulations. Your first race with SCMM has gone pretty well. How did you feel that went this afternoon?
I guess perfect start for us as a team. 1-2. I think it cannot go better. Qualifying that was good, but Pascal was quicker. Also, with the drive-through in the beginning of Pascal, we got very lucky. But I think we would have won by the strategy because the prime tire wasn't ideal. So yeah.
Yeah, and it seems like it was very clear that Vanguard and the SCMM have very different strengths on different parts of the track, and it seemed like Sector 3 was where your car shined. I feel very confident in the corners with the SCMM compared to in a straight line.
Yeah, we went with a higher downforce, and in general, compared to the Vanguard, we have also more downforce upgrades. And yeah, the setup was mainly to keep the tires alive, which worked pretty good. The medium tire was in the end horrible, while the soft tire or the performance tire was epic. Really, you just every lap you had confidence in the tire in the car, and yeah, was just amazing.
And obviously, we spoke a bit earlier in the week about Dirty Air, and it was very visible on the stream about there were some definite moments when following another car is closer. But it didn't seem to stop overtaking too much throughout the field. Is it difficult, as difficult as it looks when you're kind of in behind a car? Is it very noticeable compared to previous seasons?
I mean, I think it's a bit less than the last season, but yeah, it's still, you notice it's very, very much behind lap cars or whatever. It's really, really noticeable, and if the cars ahead have the same pace, it's impossible to overtake.
Well, despite that, I think you managed to navigate things pretty well. Very solid drive. How confident are you heading into Bahrain? Do you think that will suit your car?
Well, Bahrain has more, I say, top speed, and that should suit the Vanguard more, but I think we got good upgrades coming in, so we will wait and see how it goes, but I'm very confident after this start.
Excellent. Reuven, once again, congratulations.
Thank you very much.
Philip, on to you now. A solid race. In terms of, obviously, racing your teammate, obviously we were kind of together. Was there any kind of agreement beforehand in terms of how much of a challenge you'd mount, in terms of strategy, or was it always a case of you were allowed to race?
No, I mean, we didn't talk about it at all. I think we are both experienced enough to navigate to the race somehow. But yeah, I mean, in the end, it was pretty clear that Reuven was in front, and I agreed for myself to let him have the stop first. So that was pretty much the decision on the win, I think. But it's good for the team. Obviously, a little bit disappointed not to win, but I think there will be plenty of opportunities to actually win.
Absolutely. It seems like the SCMM is once again really competitive, and it seems like Vanguard is your main opponents. Obviously, having both you and Reuven in the team, both race winners across multiple seasons, is it just a case of seeing how things shake up over the season for fighting for the drivers' fight, or are you both kind of in the impression that you might have to fight each other at one point in the season?
I think it's going to be the case anyway, that we have to fight, and we will fight. But if it's for the championship, I don't know. It's too early to say. I think it will be nice if we could have a fight for the championship, but let's wait and see. I think we have a good car, good two drivers, good setup for this race. If we keep it like that, I think we can fight for the podium every race.
Yeah, absolutely. I think you've shown a very promising start to the season, a great result, and yeah, I wouldn't be surprised if you weren't on the top step again very soon. Great race, Philip. Well, very well done.
Yeah, thanks.
Pascal, to you, I suppose the obvious question is, how frustrated are you at that start?
Well, I mean, it hurts, but to be honest, I'm not too down after this one. I mean, it happens. Better now than in a championship fight in the end of the year. And yeah, I mean, I still have 15 races to go, and I'll look up to the next few races and see if we can still fight with the SMMs.
Obviously, after 2 seasons with HRT, which has been one of, if not the best cars, definitely the best car in terms of being the champions, moving over to a new team, you've got to be pretty happy that you're in a team that seems to have very strong performance from the off again.
Yeah, for sure. I mean, if you would have told me that I will finish P3 with what is essentially a new team or a takeover from an existing team with some penalties applied, I would take it. But now it's just that I could have been first. But yeah, I mean, it's still a really, really good result for us. Also with Axel finishing P4, I think that's quite decent for a new entry.
Absolutely, and it seems from an early standpoint that it might be the closest ever constructors fight, with obviously both drivers in both teams up at the top. So that's tantalising from a neutral perspective for sure. Obviously asked Reuven his feelings about the car going into Bahrain. Same question to you. How do you think you'll do heading to Sakir?
Well, I also look quite forward to it, but I'm not too sure if it's more or less downforce compared to Melbourne, because both tracks are somewhat weird, I think, in this regard. But what I know for sure is that I will need to adjust the setup, because our setup was suited a bit more to the prime tire, and when you want to use it, you just need to turn out a bit less rotation. So that will be for sure something we look into for the next race, and then our pace will also be better on the performance and option tires. So I'm looking forward to it.
Oh, that's great. Congratulations on a really good result with your new team. Well done, Pascal.
Yeah, thank you.
So another opening race in the bag. Robin, good race. What were your thoughts and takeaways from that?
Well, I think my main takeaway is we're in for a very interesting fight between Ciuman and Vanguard. A bit of a shame that this jumpstart happened for Pascal, because I think we would have seen an awesome fight at the front, and for the podium positions like that, it was pretty much decided, I think, early on, during the second stint. But what I wanted to point out is that I've been most impressed of all of the new teams by United Racing Club. We knew Vanguard would be strong with the lineup, but United Racing Club, double points finish, and Curtis in sixth. I think that is the most impressive of all of the performances from the new teams today.
Absolutely, I agree with you. They were been very strong, great performances from both drivers. So they're looking to take points off teams that are more established, like Better Julia. Potenza weren't really there. Obviously, Infernal, desperate to get back Goring. So United Racing Club are going to be a problem for those teams. Also, well done to Gustavo Fragoto this afternoon in the Bravo Snow Shaft 12th from a completely new team, a completely new entry as well, is really solid from him. Without the benefit of any kind of other link with other teams on the grid as well. So that's really good. And a really strong opening race in general. Some great wheel-to-wheel action. Great to see that the lack of DRS and the presence of dirty air hasn't dulled the wheel-to-wheel racing. If anything, as you say, it's kind of helped elongate fights. And we've had cars going too wide, swapping positions across the course of a lap. So really promising start. And hopefully we can do it all again in 2 weeks' time here, Bahrain. So I do hope you will join us. Thank you so much to everyone who's watched this afternoon. Hopefully we will see you again. Robin, once again, thanks to you. And we're back. And it's going to be possibly one of the most interesting years we've ever had. Thanks for watching.
Thank you. Goodbye.